Imagine a world where everything you thought you knew about early Christianity is turned upside down. What if ancient texts hidden for centuries reveal a radically different perspective on the divine, the universe, and the nature of humanity? In the shadows of history, these documents whisper secrets that challenge the very foundations of orthodox beliefs. Prepare to embark on a journey through the mysterious realms of Gnostic thought, where the search for hidden knowledge and the quest for spiritual truth may reshape your understanding of existence itself. Over the last 3 centuries, the deserts of southern Egypt have revealed remarkable treasures. Ancient papyrus manuscripts that have opened new windows into the very heart of early Christian thought. These texts, long buried beneath the sands, have challenged our understanding of Christianity's origins, exposing a spiritual tradition that had been hidden for centuries. The manuscripts in question are the Gnostic Gospels, texts that offer a radically different interpretation of Christian doctrine, one that stands in sharp contrast to the teachings of the Orthodox Church. Written primarily in Coptic, the ancient language of Egypt during the early centuries of the Common Era, these texts present ideas that were once considered so controversial that they were systematically suppressed by ecclesiastical authorities. The implications of these manuscripts are staggering. They don't just offer an alternative version of Christian thought. They expose teachings that question the very foundation of the beliefs upheld by mainstream Christianity. The Gnostic Gospels introduce concepts that would have been unthinkable in Orthodox teachings, such as the existence of multiple universes and secret esoteric knowledge that is necessary for salvation. These teachings challenge the core doctrines of the early church, which emphasized faith in the physical resurrection of Jesus and the importance of following established religious rituals. What's most striking is the way these texts redefine the path to spiritual enlightenment. Rather than advocating salvation through faith alone, the Gnostic Gospels emphasize the importance of personal, mystical knowledge, gnosis. This knowledge is not just intellectual understanding. It is an experiential, almost transcendental awareness of divine truth that leads one to a deeper connection with the spiritual world. It's a hidden wisdom that was, according to these texts, actively suppressed by the ecclesiastical authorities who sought to maintain their power over early Christian communities. The Church's fear of these radical ideas led to a concerted effort to eradicate Gnostic teachings, but thanks to the discovery of these manuscripts, these ancient, suppressed voices have been resurrected, allowing us to reconsider the spiritual landscape of early Christianity. The most pivotal discovery in the unearthing of Gnostic texts came in 1945 in the remote, dusty town of Nag Hammadi, Egypt. In this unexpected and astonishing find, a local farmer stumbled upon a sealed jar containing 13 leather-bound codices. These 4th-century manuscripts, now known as the Nag Hammadi Library, are some of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. What was uncovered was not just a historical treasure, but a spiritual and philosophical revolution. The texts within these codices provide an extraordinary glimpse into a version of Christianity that diverged sharply from the religion that ultimately became dominant. The manuscripts date back to the early Christian era, and their contents include a wealth of Gnostic texts, many of which have been lost or destroyed for over a millennium. Among them are the Gospel of Thomas, the Gospel of Philip, and the Apocryphon of John, all of which reflect a different form of Christianity that emphasizes the pursuit of hidden knowledge, or gnosis, as the key to salvation. This contrasts starkly with the canonical Gospels, which focus on faith in Jesus' resurrection and adherence to the practices of the early church. Now, just as these ancient texts reveal hidden wisdom that could transform your understanding of spirituality, here's another opportunity you won't want to miss. A PhD neuroscientist has discovered a remarkable 7-second Tesla ritual that attracts wealth effortlessly. Curious? Check the link in the first pinned comment below for more details. This might be the key to unlocking abundance in your life. Don't miss your chance to explore it now. Well, now let's get back into our exploration. The Nag Hammadi texts introduce a dualistic worldview in which the material world is regarded as inherently flawed, even corrupted. In Gnostic thought, the physical world is not the creation of a benevolent God, but rather the work of a lesser, flawed being known as the Demage. Salvation, according to these texts, is not about redemption through the physical resurrection of Christ, but about transcending the material world through the acquisition of divine knowledge. This knowledge reveals the true nature of the self as a spark of the divine, imprisoned in a flawed body and material existence. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi Library represents more than just an archaeological milestone. It challenges the very narrative of Christian origins. It provides evidence of an early Christian diversity that had been erased by centuries of orthodoxy. These texts suggest that early Christian communities were not monolithic, but were engaged in a wide-ranging search for spiritual truth. For Gnostics, the teachings of Jesus were about awakening to the hidden realities of existence, not about blind faith in dogma. This revelation of Gnosticism, which was buried and forgotten for so long, has forced scholars, theologians, and believers alike to reconsider what it means to follow the teachings of Christ. The discovery also highlighted the extent to which the early church went to suppress Gnostic beliefs. The Gnostic emphasis on personal spiritual knowledge, as opposed to institutionalized belief, was seen as a direct threat to the emerging hierarchical structure of the church. As the church sought to define itself and its doctrines in the first few centuries after Christ, it systematically marginalized and eradicated alternative forms of Christian thought, labeling them as heresies. The Nag Hammadi texts, however, have reintroduced these lost ideas, allowing modern readers to explore a more mystical, introspective form of Christianity, one that focuses on personal transformation and the search for a higher hidden truth. As we delve deeper, the tension between Gnostic beliefs and the doctrines of the early church becomes increasingly apparent. For centuries, these Gnostic teachings were marginalized and suppressed, raising questions about the true nature of early Christianity. The rediscovery of these texts challenges us to reconsider what we think we know about the beliefs and practices of the early Christian communities. At the core of Gnostic thought is a strikingly different cosmology. Gnostics posited the existence of a transcendent God, often referred to as the original creator, who exists beyond the material realm. This supreme entity is viewed as the source of all perfection, distinct from the flawed world we inhabit. In stark contrast to traditional Christian teachings, which emphasize a God intimately involved in the creation and governance of the physical world, Gnosticism presents a more complex and layered understanding of existence. One of the fundamental concepts within Gnostic cosmology is that of the Demage, a figure sometimes referred to as Yaldabaoth. This being is depicted as a lesser deity, responsible for the creation of the material world, which Gnostics regard as deeply flawed. The Demage is often characterized as ignorant or even malevolent, highlighting the Gnostic belief in a profound separation between the spiritual and the material realms. This perspective sees the physical world as a kind of prison for the soul, a lower sphere of existence from which we must strive to escape. The dichotomy between the transcendent original creator and the flawed Demage encapsulates the Gnostic view of reality. The material world is seen as a mere shadow of a higher spiritual reality, suggesting that our true essence lies beyond the confines of physical existence. Among the most intriguing aspects of Gnostic thought is the concept of multiple universes, a notion articulated in the text known as Sophia of Jesus Christ. This fascinating manuscript proposes that the original creator conceived of 12 distinct universes, each presided over by an angel. This radical idea stands in stark contrast to traditional Jewish and Christian cosmology, which typically adheres to the notion of a single unified universe created by God. The implication of 12 universes introduces a multidimensional and layered reality, suggesting that the cosmos is far more complex than our everyday perceptions might indicate. A striking passage from Sophia of Jesus Christ states, "The original creator created 12 universes for the procession of the 12 angels. All these were perfect and pleasing until the flaw in the subordinate developed. This intriguing statement hints at a pivotal cosmic event, the emergence of a flaw in creation that directly relates to the Gnostic understanding of the material world and the figure of the Demage. The flaw in the subordinate refers specifically to Sophia, a lesser divine being who, in her desire to create independently, inadvertently gave rise to the material realm and the Demage. This narrative offers an explanation for the inherent imperfections found within the physical world, framing them as the consequences of a cosmic error rather than the intentional acts of a benevolent creator. Interestingly, Gnostic views of multiple universes and complex realities resonate with contemporary scientific theories. Modern physics explores concepts such as the multiverse and parallel dimensions, which echo the Gnostic perspective on a layered reality. Quantum physics, with its ideas of overlapping realities and quantum states, also aligns intriguingly with Gnostic cosmology, suggesting that the nature of existence may be far more intricate than our limited perceptions allow us to grasp. From a Gnostic standpoint, human beings are viewed as spiritual entities temporarily imprisoned within physical bodies, a consequence of the cosmic error that led to the material world's creation. This understanding shapes the Gnostic conception of life's purpose, to acquire spiritual knowledge or gnosis, which serves as the key to transcending the limitations of the material realm. The journey towards spiritual enlightenment is perceived as the means by which individuals can escape the cycles of reincarnation that bind them to the flawed physical world, ultimately returning to the perfect divine realm from which they originated. In Gnostic texts, the figure of Jesus takes on a vastly different role compared to traditional depictions. He is portrayed not only as a savior, but also as a guide and transmitter of hidden knowledge. The Gospel of Thomas, a collection of sayings attributed to Jesus, includes unconventional teachings that challenge standard interpretations of his message. One notable statement is, "I am the light that is over all things. I am all." This assertion implies a level of omnipresence that diverges significantly from canonical narratives, suggesting a profound connection between the divine and the material worlds. Moreover, the Gnostic texts offer an intriguing portrayal of Mary Magdalene, presenting her as a favored disciple of Jesus. The Gospel of Philip states, "The companion of the Savior is Mary Magdalene, but Christ loved her more than all the disciples." This acknowledgement not only highlights Mary Magdalene's significance, but also raises questions about the dynamics among the disciples and the roles of women in early Christianity. The Gnostic texts further explore complex themes related to gender and spiritual value. In the Gospel of Thomas, there is a notable interaction between Jesus and Simon Peter regarding Mary Magdalene. Jesus expresses, "I will lead her to make her male, so that she too may become a living spirit resembling you males." This passage suggests a nuanced Gnostic understanding of gender roles and spiritual equality, challenging orthodox views about women's positions within the early church. In addition to these radical reinterpretations of gender dynamics, Gnostic texts present alternative views of traditional Christian practices. For instance, the Gospel of Philip critiques the practice of communion, branding it as cannibalism. This startling reinterpretation signals a significantly different understanding of Jesus' teachings and the rituals surrounding his memory, suggesting that early Gnostic communities had diverse interpretations of what constituted true spiritual practice. Perhaps one of the most shocking and controversial reinterpretations within the Gnostic tradition is the portrayal of Judas Iscariot in the Gospel of Judas. In traditional Christian narratives, Judas is the quintessential traitor, betraying Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, his name forever linked to treachery. However, the Gospel of Judas presents a radically different perspective, one that flips the conventional story on its head. In this Gnostic text, Judas is not depicted as a villain, but rather as the only disciple who truly understood the spiritual significance of Jesus' mission. According to the Gospel of Judas, it was Jesus himself who instructed Judas to hand him over to the authorities. This betrayal, far from being a sinful act, is portrayed as an act of obedience to divine instructions. The text asserts that Judah's actions were not a betrayal in the traditional sense, but rather a necessary part of a larger cosmic plan. His act of betrayal was actually carried out in obedience to instructions given to him by Jesus himself earlier. The text states, reframing Judas as a faithful disciple chosen for a specific, albeit misunderstood, purpose. This redefinition of Judas' role upends centuries of Christian teaching, posing profound questions about free will, destiny, and the nature of sin. Could it be that Judas, instead of being condemned, was actually fulfilling a divine mandate? This interpretation forces readers to reconsider not only the role of Judas, but also the entire framework of Jesus' crucifixion. In this version, Judas' act is not a betrayal leading to the tragic death of Jesus, but rather a pivotal moment orchestrated by Jesus himself to fulfill a higher spiritual purpose, one that ultimately transcends traditional notions of good and evil. This portrayal of Judas as the enlightened one among the disciples challenges the moral absolutes commonly associated with early Christian doctrine and invites a revaluation of guilt, sacrifice, and redemption. In addition to the shocking reinterpretation of Judas, the Gospel of Judas introduces unique and complex cosmological concepts that diverge significantly from Orthodox Christian teachings. One of the most striking ideas presented in the text is the depiction of God not as an anthropomorphic personal deity involved in the day-to-day affairs of the world, but as an abstract, transcendent force, a luminous cloud of light. This representation moves far away from the familiar, personal God described in the Bible, who creates, loves, and judges his creation. Instead, the divine is portrayed as a radiant, impersonal presence, existing beyond the material world, and untouchable by human affairs. This luminous cloud of light represents the true God in Gnostic cosmology, a being so far removed from the flawed, material world that he does not directly interact with it. In Gnostic thought, the material realm was not created by this transcendent God, but by a lesser deity, the Demiurge, who is often depicted as ignorant or even malevolent. The Gospel of Judas hints at this dualistic view of the universe, where the luminous spiritual realm of the true God is sharply contrasted with the dark, flawed world governed by the Demiurge. The contrast between the luminous cloud of light and traditional Christian portrayals of God speaks to a fundamentally different understanding of the divine nature. In Gnosticism, God is not the direct creator of the physical world, but rather the source of spiritual truth and enlightenment. This God is beyond human comprehension, existing in a realm of pure light and knowledge, disconnected from the material imperfections of our universe. The luminous cloud serves as a symbol of divine perfection, an ethereal presence that represents ultimate reality, in stark opposition to the flawed creation of the Demiurge. This cosmological perspective suggests a vastly different relationship between humanity and the divine. While traditional Christian theology often emphasizes a close, personal relationship with a God who loves and judges, the Gnostic God is distant, known only through secret knowledge or gnosis. Human beings, in this view, are trapped in the material world, which is fundamentally disconnected from the true divine essence. The pursuit of spiritual enlightenment or gnosis becomes the only way to transcend the limitations of the physical realm and return to the luminous cloud of light from which all true knowledge and existence flow. Collectively, these alternative portrayals of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, and the nature of the divine in Gnostic texts illuminate the diversity of beliefs that characterized early Christianity. They suggest that early Christian communities were not monolithic, but rather rich with varied interpretations of Jesus' message. The legacy of the Gnostic Gospels continues to resonate in contemporary thought, offering alternative perspectives on spirituality and self-knowledge. These ancient texts invite us to question traditional interpretations of Christianity and encourage a more personal and introspective quest for spiritual truth. Furthermore, the Gnostic view of multiple universes and the intricate nature of reality finds echoes in modern scientific discussions surrounding the multiverse and quantum physics. While rooted in different foundational beliefs, Both Gnosticism and contemporary science suggest that reality is more expansive and multifaceted than our everyday experiences might indicate. Engaging with these ancient texts enriches our understanding of early religious thought and encourages a more open and inquisitive approach to contemporary spirituality. They challenge us to reflect on the complexities of faith and the diverse paths to understanding our place in the cosmos. As we journey through the intricate maze of Gnostic teachings, we're invited to challenge everything we thought we knew about spirituality, knowledge, and the essence of existence. These ancient texts don't just reveal hidden truths. They ask us to question our reality and our role in it. What revelations might await us as we delve deeper into these profound mysteries? The Gnostic Gospels are more than relics of the past. They're keys to a spiritual transformation that could change how we understand the divine and our place in the cosmos. If this exploration has sparked something within you, let's keep the conversation going. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Did this resonate with you? Are you ready to plunge even further into the mysteries of Gnosticism? Together, we can unravel these ancient secrets and uncover new dimensions of spiritual wisdom.